All right, folks, we are live. Welcome to my weekly Sunday live stream here where I go live on YouTube every single Sunday as long as I'm here in town at 11:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Always really look forward to doing these. I really appreciate everybody's support and I love being able to connect with everybody from all over and I just love being able to connect with you guys and just show my appreciation to everybody out there that watches my videos and just show the love, just show the love. And I'm just really happy to be here. Always really look forward to doing these. And, these videos are doing incredibly well. So thank you all so much again for all the support. And just sipping on some coffee here, trying to wake up still a little bit. Had a pretty rowdy night last night, but it was a good time. Just feeling it a little bit here this morning, but wanted to still do my weekly live stream. And once again, if this is your first time here, I go live here on YouTube every Sunday at 11:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. So come on by and get your questions ready. I answer everybody's questions. The only questions that I try to stay away from are anything that would potentially interfere with my one-on-ones. I just don't like to share that information and give it away for free here on YouTube. It just wouldn't be fair to my students out there that hire me and pay me. So, but pretty much anything else goes. So, let's see here. We've got CZ in the house. Hey, CZ, how's it going? It says here, hi, Justin. What's going on? Nice to see you. Thanks so much for being here. And, CZ here is a very loyal supporter of the channel here, so really appreciate you being here. Let's see. She says here, what did you do last night? Can we ask? Yeah. No, I just went out last night and just had a pretty rowdy night. So, yeah, it was I'm definitely feeling it a little bit this morning, but it was a good time for sure. So, still wanted to go live here on YouTube and follow through with my weekly live stream. So, but yeah, the videos have been doing really well, and you can probably see here that the backdrop here has really changed just with my amp collection and everything. I made a huge decision just on Friday, and I decided to consign off a bunch of my amplifiers, honestly, through Carter Vintage. So I decided to let go of a few vintage plexis, and I just kind of wanted to change up what I was doing. I had this massive tube amp collection that, I love these tube amps. I love vintage plexis. I love vintage Marshalls and stuff, but it just got to be just too much, man. It was just too much with these tube amps, and, these tube amps need a lot of servicing and a lot of maintenance and stuff, so I decided to, just consign off a bunch of my collection from the tube amps, and I'm really trying to go more in on collecting really just holy grail, just unbelievable vintage instruments. I'm fortunate enough to have that 61 ES335, and I love that guitar, and it's just really inspired me just to really try to find these holy grail instruments, maybe like a 56 Strat. Like I was looking at this 56 Strat the other day that was just amazing, and it's not cheap, but man, if I could find more instruments like that. I do already have a 64 Strat, so that's why I'm not really so sure if I want to go with that 56 Strat, but it was an amazing guitar and priced really, really right. I mean, it was a really good deal on that. So, I don't know about that though. I'll probably just stick it out with the 64. The 63 and 64 Strats, man, those are great years for the Strat. I mean, just amazing neck. Mine has the gray bottom pickups, and I just love the way that those things sound. So probably stick it out with that. But I would love to have like just some holy grail instrument, whether it's a vintage Tele or a vintage Les Paul is a dream of mine for sure. I actually was playing a 57 Gold Top where just the top was refinished. Everything else was original though. Original PAFs, dark back finish, which was just beautiful. It was incredible. Played incredibly well, but it's also $75,000, so which is a lot. It's a lot of dough, but that guitar was incredible. It was the best Les Paul I've ever played, honestly. So I'd like to maybe try to get into something like that. I don't know about that one in particular with it having a refinish. When it comes to spending that kind of money, man, I would really want everything to just be 100% straight. I really wouldn't want to have some kind of excuse or some kind of modification or a refinish or something like this. So probably would hold off on that particular one. But that said, it did play really well. So um, that was great. It was definitely the best Les Paul that I've ever played for sure. So, but that said, I'd love to have a real maybe 57 gold top or a late 50s Les Paul custom. That would be pretty cool as well. But we'll see. I don't really know exactly what I'm after right now, but I just decided to consign a bunch of my amplifiers and just really wanted to kind of change things up a little bit. So I just went down to my blonde basement now, and then I have those two Fender Super Champs there as well. So, um, I love these Super Champs. I just got that one actually just recently. That's an original Super Champ with the EV speaker, which is really, really collectible and sounds amazing. So, let's see. CZ says here, I like that you are defining your musical self, youngster. You are doing a good job. Did you see any of the Jeff Beck auction? Yeah, I've heard about that. And thank you for the kind words, by the way, too. Appreciate that. But, yeah, I've seen some of that stuff with Jeff Beck's collection. I've seen that Les Paul that was modified. That went for like over $1 million. That looks pretty cool. I don't know too much about what all was done to it or, what year that Les Paul was, but I seen that it went for over $1 million, so it's pretty amazing. But there's a lot of history with that stuff. A lot of history with his instruments and those amplifiers, and I mean Jeff Beck's just an amazing, amazing musician, and his music will live on forever for sure. So it's pretty sad to see all that stuff go, though. To be honest, like it's just just sad to not see him perform with the stuff and play with the stuff, but. That's just a part of how it goes, unfortunately. It's sad, though. But, I seen that Les Paul. That definitely looked really cool. And, it was interesting with that Jeff Beck auction. He uses a lot of those, or he did use a lot of those Marshall DSL amps. Just really just a traditional Marshall, just a JCM 2000. You get those amps a lot on, like, backline situations. They're very common. And, honestly, they sound great. Those DSLs are awesome. I love those amps, You don't really need anything super fancy, When you play like Jeff does, man, I mean, you don't need something, like even a vintage Plexi or whatever. I mean, he can make literally anything sound good. And CZ says here, the Oxblood. Yeah, that was it. Yep. Yeah, that guitar. And also says here, Beck, no one like him. Yeah, for sure. Very, very unique player, for sure. Really, really unique. Oh, man. But yeah, I've seen that as well. A lot of amazing instruments, so much history with that stuff that's on that auction. So it'd be cool. I'll have to check out some more stuff that they're auctioning off there. But, yeah, really amazing player. I mean, Jeff Beck is incredible. So, but, yeah, I decided to change up a lot of the gear that I've got going here. I decided to consign a lot of the vintage Plexis. And I'm just down now to that blonde basement, these two Fender Super Champs. And I have this old Marshall cabinet that I don't really talk about a lot, but I love that thing. It's a 68 basket weave 412 cabinet that just sounds amazing. And speaking of those old Marshalls, those DSLs, the JCM 2000s, I honestly would love to hear that amp through this old Marshall cabinet. And I think that's going to be my approach now going forward, is now I'm going to just use like vintage speakers, vintage Marshall cabinets, vintage, speaker cabinets in general, and then use more of a reissue amplifier, like a DSL even. I would love to hear that through, this old Marshall cabinet, so... let's see. CZ says here, his legacy affects us ever more, and also says here, look, I'm over commenting. No, all good, all good. It's all good. I appreciate the support. I appreciate the commenting here, for sure, and great to see you here as always. So really appreciate it. It looks like we have a little bit of a smaller crowd here today, but it's all good. If you guys have any questions for me, feel free to leave it there in the chat box. I'd be happy to answer it. Big day today, football. Got some big games going here today, so I'm definitely going to go out and go watch some football after this stream. But yeah, I'm just kind of hanging out here for right now, and I just wanted to follow through with doing my weekly live stream here on YouTube. And like I was saying, I had a pretty rowdy night last night, so I'm still recovering from that. But it's a little bit of a struggle this morning, but it's all good. Happy to be here, as always. But yeah, that 57 gold top that I was playing, man, that was a special instrument. And hey, we've got James in the house. Hey, James, how's it going? Thanks so much for the super chat, man. Really appreciate that. Says here, coffee or dog treats because you need one. Man, I really do need to get a dog, man. I would love to have a dog. I used to have an Airedale growing up, and he was just awesome. His name was Chance, and he used to run around like a horse, and man, he would just eat everybody's food. Man, he would jump up on the table and just eat everybody's food. I mean, if you left it there just for even a minute, man, he would jump up there and grab it, But yeah, I definitely miss him. He's no longer with us, unfortunately, but he was a great pup for sure. But I really would love to get a dog again for sure. But thanks so much for the super chat. I'll give you some sound effects. Thanks again, James. Really appreciate that. And let's see here. We've got Scott from South Carolina is in the house. Hey, man, how's it going? Thanks so much for being here. Let's see. It says here, glad I finally made a live stream. I used to live in Columbus, Hilliard. Oh, okay, cool. That's awesome, man. Yeah, well, thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And I used to live in Pickerington, so that's where I was at before coming down here to Nashville. So not all that far away, man. Hilliard's not far at all. So very cool. Thanks so much for being here, though. Let's see. And CZ says here, right on, James. And we have Mike in the house. Hey, Mike, how's it going? Thanks so much for being here. Let's see. If and when you play Broadway with somewhat unfamiliar players and set lists, do you use an iPad with charts? No, I don't use an iPad for that stuff. It's kind of a standard set list, and it's like if you're doing gigs like that, you really just need to know the songs, you really just have to just memorize them, because the singer's just going to call them out, and then it's like, okay, we're going to go play this song, okay, and then you just go into it, so you don't really have time to be doing, looking at iPads with charts and stuff. But, there are some people that do have them up there on stage for those kind of gigs, because sometimes they'll get like a random request from somebody, and they can just connect onto the Wi-Fi of the club that they're playing at, and they can pull up like Ultimate Guitar or something, so they can at least try to accommodate this request. If they don't know the song, they can at least just look up like some kind of a random chord chart or something. I mean, there's a lot of really pretty bad versions of some of the covers and some of the songs down there, but also there's some bands that just don't know all of these requests, so at least they can attempt it by just pulling up like Ultimate Guitar or something. But there really is like a standard set list that all the musicians just know, so they're just standard songs that all of these singers are most likely going to be calling for that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, good question there. And let's see, Scott says here, do you get a chance to unleash those Marshall amps? Yeah, man, definitely. I normally play them on 6 on the volume, so I normally have them turned up pretty good, but I actually just recently made a decision as of Friday. I decided to consign my Marshall amp collection, actually, so I just kind of wanted to change up what I was doing. I love all of these tube amps so much, but I just really want to get in on a holy grail instrument, something that is just really special. I'm on the hunt for like maybe a great vintage Les Paul or a great vintage Telecaster or something like this. I'm just really trying to find the right instrument. So I decided to actually consign a lot of my Marshall collections. So just recently. I'm still keeping some stuff. I have that blonde basement. I have this old 68 basket weave 412 cabinet. Um, but I kind of decided to change some stuff up. So I'm just really on the hunt for like a great, just holy grail instrument. So maybe a vintage Les Paul, like I say, if I could afford it. They're just so expensive, man. It is unbelievable how expensive those are. I mean, I was playing a 57 Gold Top the other day that was to die for, man. It was amazing. And just the top was refinished. I was just talking a little bit about it a little bit ago in this live stream, but just in case if you're just joining us up, I was playing this thing and just the top was refinished, but everything else was 100% original. But, they're selling it for $75,000. I mean, it's just so expensive, man. I mean, I love vintage instruments. I love the vintage guitars, and especially vintage Gibsons. I just absolutely love, but man, oh man, are they expensive, man. It is unbelievable how expensive they are. So, but they are the best. They are the best. Let's see, where was I? Here we go. CZ says here, we got a friend with a mini bull terrier, needs a rehome. His dad cannot keep him. Man. Yeah, well, hopefully that dog finds a new home here soon. Let's see, Scott says here, do you have a Gretsch? No, I don't. I don't have a Gretsch, and that is something that would be cool. I've owned Gretches in the past. The Filtertron thing is definitely a particular tone as well, so I would like to get one. But, I'm really just kind of trying to keep my collection very slim and just very, everything that I have here I use. That's what I'm really trying to get it down to here right now. So that's why I decided to actually get rid of those plexis as well, because it's just kind of insane, to have 3 of them. Like, I love collecting, but it's just for what they're selling for now and how much I could get off of those amps. I mean, I just decided, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to consign it and just do it. So, that's what I'm really trying to do, is just pare down and just really have all of the instruments together that I really need and I really use on a regular basis. And same with amplifiers. But a Gretsch would be a nice addition for sure to that collection, for sure. It just never ends, with this stuff. I mean, you feel like you have everything, but it's always something else. It's always something new that you need. So it just never ends. But a Gretsch would be a nice addition for sure. Let's see. Mike says here, a great vintage LP Junior will steal your heart. Yeah, man, definitely. I actually used to own a 56 that was great. I love that guitar. And I was actually just checking one out on Friday as well. They have a 56 there that it was refretted with jumbos, which I'm not a big jumbo fret fan, but it was a really cool guitar, man. I really liked it a lot. But I kind of have the P90 thing covered already. I mean, I know there is something to be said about the single pickup. It's definitely a thing for sure in comparison to having 2 pickups. But I do have a 60 TVLO Les Paul Special that has a neck pickup as well. So I really have the P90 thing covered. But a great 56 Les Paul Jr. is a great... that's a great, guitar. I mean, it's the year for the Junior. The year, for sure. So, who knows? That would be nice to have one of those as well. But like I've been saying, I'm just really trying to kind of focus in and just narrow down and get this stuff together that I'm really actually using instead of just collecting and holding on to this stuff. This stuff needs constant maintenance. With electrics, it's a little bit different because a lot of the time you're just turning a truss rod screw, But the stuff is always moving around. It's always changing. And really with tube amps especially, man, those things need all kinds of servicing, especially vintage tube amps, So it's just like, man, to have all of these amps and all of this stuff, it just gets so expensive to maintain everything. So, and to be able to actually hold on to all of this stuff. I mean, these vintage instruments, like I've been saying, it's just amazing the prices and how much the stuff has gone up. It's just been incredible. I mean, even this 100-watt 68 plexi, we're going to be listing it for $15,000, I mean, it's just amazing what those have gone up to. I mean, even my vintage 335, and I mean, just all of these instruments, man. The market it has just exploded, man. So pretty wild for sure. I can't believe what these prices are on this stuff. I mean, hell, even a Les Paul Jr. Les Paul Jr. the other day, they were asking, I think it was 11.5 for it. I mean, man, 7-8 years ago, you could find those all day long for $4,000. 35 or $4,000. But now, man, I mean, 11.5 for a Les Paul Jr. That's a lot, man. That's a lot. But the stuff just keeps going up and up and up in value, man. I mean, the longer you can hold on to it, the more it's going to be worth. So it's pretty amazing. And it's also amazing too, like going over to Carter Vintage, for example, like they have all of these instruments. I mean, it's just insane the amount of instruments they have there. I mean, anything you're looking for, they have it there. And what's just amazing, is like if they have an instrument that is 100% original, like there's no modifications, there's no routing, there's no, Floyd Rose or something on there. If it's really truly 100% original, I really feel you could ask whatever you want and somebody will be buying it within a few days. I mean, that is how quick these guys are and how quick they're able to sell stuff there. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, I know even my 335, when I was going in for that, like there was multiple people that were trying to buy it, and I just got lucky, man. It just was the right timing and everything, so I was able to get it. But it's just amazing, man. If you have a truly 100% original example of an instrument, it will sell. It will sell very quickly. And I really feel, man, you could honestly ask whatever you want for this stuff. So, sorry, I'm just got a text here, just reading that. But yeah, so it's really cool. It's just amazing, though. I mean, what this stuff has gone up to. I mean, like I was saying, Les Paul Jr., man, you could find those 7-8 years ago for 35, $4,000, something like this. And man, I mean, now they're selling for 11.5. It's crazy. So, but anyways, folks, really appreciate everybody being here. Thank you so much for joining up here today. I really do appreciate it as always, and I really appreciate everybody out there watching my videos. It really, really means a lot to me, and I've just been having so much fun, doing these videos, and I always really look forward to doing these live streams. It's just so fun. I love being able to connect with everybody, and so, if you guys have any questions for me, feel free to leave it there in the chat box. I'd be happy to answer it. This is just me donating my time to just show my appreciation to everybody out there that watches my videos and supports my music and my art. It really, really means a lot to me. So again, thank you for all of that. And, I really, really do appreciate all the support. Let's see, we have another question here from Scott. Scott says here, do you play studio sessions? Not really. Every now and again, I have some sessions that I will do, but very rarely. I'm mainly touring. That's mainly my main thing. I get hired on with all kinds of different artists and travel all over the place. I'm actually starting that back up next week already, so touring is already going to be picking up again. It normally slows down like this month in January here. It's been pretty slow, so I've been doing a lot more in-town work. So I have a couple residencies that I'm doing and stuff, so that's been good. And I also teach as well, so I teach a lot, and I just use my YouTube channel here to market my lessons. So I offer all kinds of one-on-one lessons, and I teach people from all over the world. It's amazing what that has turned into, and this is actually the exact setup that I use for those lessons. It's all pro video and pro audio, and what's just amazing with this platform is that you actually get a recorded copy of the lesson itself at the very end. So you could just download the video and actually retain all of the information that I teach within the lesson. So I've been doing that a lot, and it's just been so fun, man. I love teaching. Really, really passionate about that. So let's see. Keef's World says here, do you mostly use your telly for gigs? No, I mean, it's kind of a mix, man. It depends on the music. I do use the telly a lot for country music. Obviously, it's just a part of that sound, of course. I mean, you just got to have a telly living here in Nashville. But, it depends, man. Like, I love my 335, I love the Strat. It depends on the music and what I'm playing. But really, a lot of the time, I could bring out my R9 Les Paul and the telly, and that would cover a lot of ground. It's going to cover a lot of the tones that I need for, the music that I'm getting hired on for. So, but yes, definitely use the telly a lot. Let's see. James says here, do you have any experience or opinions about Nash guitars? Their Telecasters are about 1,500 used. I want a Telecaster, but I don't play one enough to warrant more than 2,000. Yeah, their stuff is cool. They have some decent tellies. You know, Man, I tell you, like I would really look at the Road Worn series from Fender. They made them back. I want to say it was like 2009, something like this, and they're made in Mexico. They're not like an American Fender build, but those guitars are phenomenal, and I think for the money, man, they're incredible. I mean, you could find them, for $900 or 800, 1,000, somewhere in there. So really, really good value, and I love those guitars, man. I've played some really good road worn tellies and strats. They also do strats as well. Um, but yeah, the Nash stuff is okay. It's all right. I mean, there's just so many guys that build tellies. I'm just trying to think for off the top of my head that price range. I mean, the first thing that just comes to mind is that Road Worn series. I would really look at that for sure. That stuff is really, really good. Really good instruments there. Let's see. We have a new name here, Pasta Patati. Hopefully I said your name right there. Sorry about that. Thanks so much for being here. Appreciate it. Let's see. Hey, Justin, I'd love to hear another story from back when you worked for Tom. Thanks, man, and have a good day. Man, thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Man, another story. I mean, there was all kinds of crazy stuff that happened there, man, that I can't even share here on the live stream or just don't want to. But, man, I mean, I met so many unbelievable musicians there, and it was really kind of like my college education. I didn't go to college. Everything that I've learned in the music business and what I've learned as a player has all been through actual real world experience, of actually touring and actually doing this stuff. But, a story that jumps out right away was I remember there was this one time where, this was at the time when Tom was kind of like retiring from the whole session world, and, he wasn't really working nowhere near as much, and he was mainly just focusing in on the shop there. And, I remember one time Tim Lauer had called him when we were there at the shop there, and he wanted Tom to come in and go record some guitars on this track. And he was like, man, I've got this badass kid, man. He's amazing, man. I'm going to send him over there instead. So I remember, the whole thing with Second Gear was like, it was all about consignment, right? So like we would get a lot of guys that would just come in and they would consign their instruments or whatever. And, we would just hang it up on the wall there. And I just remember I just took somebody's random Les Paul and I put it into a case, and I just drove right up the road there in Berry Hill, and I played down this guitar solo, and it was just awesome. It was just really cool. So it was an amazing experience. And if I remember correctly, I believe the track was for like a TV show is what I played on, but they were just looking for like this Guitar Hero kind of solo, this really epic electric guitar solo on this track. And I just remember I took somebody's random Les Paul. It was just right off the wall there, and I just drove right up the road, and Second Gear was right in Berry Hill, right off of Iris Drive there. So it's right by Glazers, if you guys have ever been there. But it's obviously no longer in business anymore. But that's one that just jumps out right away, so that was really cool. But yeah, all kinds of crazy stories from there, man. I met so many just incredible people there. I mean, I still tell that story all the time with meeting Brad Whitford. You know, he was so nice to me, and I'll never forget that, you know, because I was like 18, 19 years old, and that just left such a impression on me. I was like, wow, like, and I was brand new to Nashville too. That's the thing that was so crazy with that. Like, I didn't know anybody. I knew nobody back in those days. I just moved down here by myself, you know, and I just was kind of wandering around, just kind of meeting anybody I could. You know, I would meet somebody and they would be like, hey man, you got to meet this guy, you got to meet this person, you got to meet this person. And I'm like, I don't know who the hell these people are. And it was just so funny how that all came to be with the job there, because it was so random. You know, I just had walked in there and I was just looking around to see what they had, you know. And you know, I just was in there and it was just the right place at the right time. You know, I just overheard him say that. And, you know, I walked up to him and I said, hey, man, how about me? You know, I needed a job. You know, I was brand new to Nashville. So I didn't have anything going on back in those days. But it was just amazing, you know, to be brand new to town. And I'm meeting, like, all of the who's who of Nashville and the best musicians. I mean, incredible artists, you know. So it was a really cool experience for sure. And James says here, thank you. Yeah, no problem, James. Thanks so much for being here, and thanks again for the super chat. Really appreciate that. Ben says here, cheers, Justin. Cheers, gentlemen. Thanks, Ben. Nice to see you here. Appreciate it. Very loyal supporter here. And let's see, Pasta Patati says, LOL, that's right. So I said it right? Okay, cool. And let's see here. Ben says here, I have a Nash Telly and love it. Play it more than superior ones. Justin's right about the road-worn MIM tellies too, though. I also have a blonde one of them, and it's the best for the price. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Yeah, I think for that price, man, you can't really beat that, man. I think the road-worn Fender stuff is excellent. It's incredible stuff. So, Ben says here, without a doubt. And Pasta says, cool story, thanks. And Scott here says, Vince Neil said Brad Whitford lived down the street from him in Nashville. That's cool. Yeah, I know that Vince lives here now too, and man, he's a huge inspiration of mine. He was a huge influence. I mean, he really inspired me to want to pursue this as a full-time career. You know, I have a story with that too. I remember when I was 12 years old, my dad took me over to go see his solo band, and I'll never forget that as long as I live, man. It was incredible, and it just left such a huge impression on me at that age. You know, I had never seen something like that. And I remember I went to the show, and he was performing outside, and it just so happened that my dad's friend knew one of the camera operators that was like the camera guy that was like filming the band to show the Jumbotron, the film on the Jumbotron there. And God, I can't talk today. I don't know what's going on. But he was just filming the show, and it was being broadcasted on the Jumbotron there. But he got me backstage somehow, and I just remember I went back there, and I was 12 years old, just hanging out just by myself. And I'll never forget that day. I mean, I still remember it like it was yesterday. You know, I remember Vince was running so late to the gig, and I guess what happened was like the commercial flight got canceled, or it was like really delayed. And so then what happened was, I guess the promoter actually ended up putting him on a private jet, and then they just flew him directly in to the area where he was playing. And I just remember I was backstage and I seen all this happen. And all of a sudden I see this limo, and it comes tires screeching, man, around the corner. And I just remember Vince comes out the door, man, and he comes out with these three girls. And I mean, when I was 12 years old, I had never seen a woman look like that, ever. I was like, wow. Like, I just thought he was like a superhero or something. Like, I was like, just, and I was also a huge Motley Crue fan back in those days too. So even just seeing Vince in general, I mean, I was just like, wow, like I just thought he was a superhero or something, like I just thought he was so cool. And just that whole experience, man, that whole show, just how everything went down. And there's a lot more to the story too, but just to keep it short, it really, really inspired me, and I'll never forget that, man. I would love to meet Vince again. It'd be really cool. I met him very briefly at the end of that show, and then security escorted him out. But yeah, he's awesome, man, for sure. I like Vince a lot. Let's see. Daydream says here, hi, what's going on? And Pasta says here, Brad Whitford's son Harrison is a very skilled guitar player, similar style to Blake Mills, if you're familiar with him. Okay, yeah, I don't know Harrison. I don't know his son Harrison, but I know his other son, and he's a great guitar player as well. But his dad is Brad Whitford. I mean, Brad is an incredible guitar player, incredible musician himself. So definitely runs in the family for sure. And Bjorn says here, super sticker. Thanks so much, man. Really appreciate that. Give you some sound effects. Thank you, man. Really appreciate that again. And, thank you guys so much for all the support. Seriously, it really means the world to me. I couldn't do this stuff without you guys, and it's just amazing what this community has turned into, it's just incredible. I mean, really, really great people that are on here, that are on a part of my community here. So thanks so much, Bjorn. Really appreciate that. Let's see. Ben says here, so what you're telling us is you're doing it for the hot babes. Yeah, I mean, hell, that's definitely a great reason to do it. That's for sure. Let's see. Pasta says here, any cool newer bands or artists you've been liking? I'm always looking for new stuff. Man, let's see. Off the top of my head, man. What have I been listening to lately? I haven't really been listening to any new bands. I still listen to all the old school stuff, man. I've been listening to Ace Frehley a lot. I've been listening to his new record, 10,000 Volts. And so that's been cool. But I just love Ace. I just think he's awesome. His personality's great. I think he's absolutely hilarious. And he's a great player, too, man. He is. He's a great player. He's a great rock and roll guitar player, man. And really just makes you feel something, and I just love that kind of playing. I would much rather listen to that than hear somebody play over 1 million different chord changes and play 1 million notes, man. With that stuff, man, I love playing the chords. I can do this stuff, chord changes, all this, but I love just hearing somebody like Ace Frehley that just, goes in for a minor pentatonic and, just bends that note and just really makes you feel something, man. To me, I love hearing that stuff, A good vocal melody, good just kick-ass rock and roll. Man, nothing better. Let's see. Ben says here, I can't blame you. And Pasta says, I'll check out the new Ace. Yeah, for sure. Daydream says, cool. And Scott says here, my father said Chet Atkins was the best of them. He also ran a record label and was on a lot of TV shows. Yeah, definitely. Chet is, legendary, for sure. Legendary. So. But yeah, folks, once again, if you guys have any questions for me, feel free to leave it there in the chat box. And if you guys would like to show some support here to the channel, feel free to throw a little love in the Venmo Tip Jar or the PayPal Tip Jar. It's going to be linked all down below in the description box. Or you can even send a super chat here in today's live stream. Any and all support is really appreciated. I mean, these live streams, as I've mentioned, for those that are regular viewers, I don't make anything off of these live streams. It's just a straight up donation of time. So I really just do this just to connect with you guys and hang out for a bit and answer y'all's questions and just show my appreciation to everybody out there that watches my show and watches the videos. It really means a lot to me. And but really with all of that said, I don't get anything out of this whatsoever as far as any kind of financial benefit at all. So if you guys would like to support the channel, check out all the links down below in the description box. And I do want to take the time to mention my one-on-one online consultations. You're actually seeing and hearing here the exact setup that I use for these online lessons. It's all shot on a 4K definition camera. It's all pro video and pro audio. And what's so cool with these lessons is that you'll actually get a recorded copy of the lesson itself at the very end, so you could just very easily download the video and rewatch the lesson as many times as you want. So you can always retain the information. You can always go back and, oh, well, what did Justin say at this part? Or, rewind it to 2309 or something like this and really dive in. And it's just an amazing platform. I mean, it works so well. The technology is just amazing for this. It's literally as if we're sitting right next to each other. So for more info on this, hit me up today at jkm4231@gmail.com. That's going to be jkm4231@gmail.com. Thank you for listening. And we have here a super sticker from Pasta. Thanks so much, Pasta. Appreciate it. Give you some sound effects. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Very kind people. Let's see. Daydream says here, I like the Nashville sign in the background. Thanks. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I just put that up recently, and actually this whole background has just changed so much. For those that are just joining us here now, you'll see that I don't have the Marshalls up there anymore. I decided recently to consign my Marshall collection. I am keeping the Basket Weave 412 cabinet just because I love that thing, and it just sounds amazing. But I decided to consign my Plexis, so this is definitely going to look a little bit different now with the videos and just this background in general. And my collection is changing a little bit, but I'm really trying to just dive in and really find that holy grail instrument. I just have so many tube amps, and the stuff needs so much servicing, and I love tube amps so much, but it's like, man, I just am really on the hunt for that one perfect instrument. So maybe that's a vintage Les Paul, maybe it's a vintage Telecaster. I don't really know yet, so we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I decided to consign that stuff. It's just amazing how much that stuff is going for now, man. Like, when they were telling me what I could get, I'm like, man, that's pretty tempting, so I decided to do it. But it kind of sucks to see him go, because I love vintage Marshalls so much. But it's just one of those things. I'm really on the hunt. I played a 57 Gold Top the other day that just the top has been refinished. That's it. Just the top has been refinished. Everything else is 100% original. And man, oh man, did that guitar play good, man. It was killer. It was absolutely killer. But it's also $75,000. So that's the thing, man. The vintage stuff is just not cheap. And I don't know how I feel about that, man. Like, if I'm spending 75 grand on an instrument, I want this thing to be 100% perfect. I don't want any kind of refinish. I don't want any kind of modification. If I'm spending that kind of money on an instrument, man, I want it to be totally right. So I don't know if I would want to do that, but it is kind of tempting because, a real 57 Gold Top with no excuses, like, it's, going to be like 200 grand or something, 210 grand or something, so that's what's just tough, It's hard, like, to decide between that, but that said, that instrument played great, man. I loved that. I loved that Gold Top, man. It was amazing. Let's see. Scott says here, I'd rather have a room full of gear than one vintage item. Yeah, that's cool. Hey, man, I mean, to each their own, I love to collect as well, but it's just one of those things, like, for me, I could really get it done with a deluxe reverb and some really inspiring instrument, and that's the thing for me that I love so much about the vintage instruments, is that they're just so inspiring to play and to create. They're just really magical. There's some that are just absolutely amazing. There's a lot of vintage stuff that is not great. There's a lot of stuff that, man, I mean, it's just not set up well. A lot of the time, like the ABR ones on Gibsons, especially, sometimes the string spacing could be off, or maybe the ABR is actually in the wrong position on the body, where, you'll see a lot of the time those saddles are pushed way back. If like the ABR is a little too far up, it should be further back on the body. There's just a lot of things, a lot of quirks with them. But man, when you find that special one, that really good instrument that just is inspiring to play, and it's just perfect, it intonates perfectly, it stays in tune really well, like, it's really hard to let that go, and that's what I just love. For me, like, it's all about the instruments. To have a room full of amplifiers and stuff, like, yeah, it's cool, I think that's awesome, but for me, it's all about the instrument. That's everything. Really, with these tube amps, as I was saying, I could get it done with the deluxe reverb or that blonde bassman there. I could really just use that and use a small little pedal board with a few things. But really, it's all about the instruments, man. That's, in my opinion, what it's all about. You got to be inspired to play the instrument. Let's see. Neck Through Nelly says here, have any experience playing a 330? If so, what's your thoughts? Yeah, I'm not crazy about those, man, to be honest. I don't really like those. If I'm going to go for the P90 thing, I would much rather have a Les Paul Special or a Les Paul Junior. I like the tone of those better. I'm just not crazy about the 330s, man, to be honest. So, and Bjorn says here, I love player grade guitars. Yeah, there's definitely nothing wrong with them, man. I mean, they really they really are cheaper. They're great. There's some that are amazing, man. I mean, I had this player grade, 63 Les Paul. It's an SG body, but they call it, Les Paul, obviously, for the year. And I mean, that guitar was amazing. There's some incredible player grade instruments out there, but I just don't know, man. Like with that 57 Gold Top, I mean, spending 75 grand on that, and it has a refinish, but it's just the top. That's it, just the top, man. Everything else is 100% there. So it's pretty tempting, and it's just such an amazing guitar, man. I love the way it played, but I don't know, man, when you're spending that kind of money, like, it's a huge investment, man, and like, you got to really make sure that you're not going to lose your ass on this thing, So I definitely do too, though, man. I love player grade guitars for sure. Let's see. Scott says here, neck angles can vary from 4 to 5.5% on the 58 to 60 Les Pauls due to handmade aspect. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the thing. They were all handmade, so there's a lot of things that are just inconsistent, but that's like the beauty of it, and I mean, like this 335, and I really notice it with 335s, I really do. Like, I remember I was looking at, I wanted to get a 335, and I was looking at a bunch of reissue stuff. I was looking at some custom shop stuff. And then I just picked up this 61 that was off the wall there at Carter's. And I just was like, holy shit, man. Like, this 61, it just blew those out of the water, man. I mean, it just was not even close. And I just was like, man, I just couldn't put it down, man. When I was playing the 61 that I have here, I just could not put it down. And it's like, I didn't even want to touch, I didn't even want to look at the reissues, man. It's just not the same at all. I mean, the pre-65 335s are the best. They are the best 335s that have ever been created, ever, in my humble opinion. The reissues do not do it. They're not the same guitar. It's completely different, the way it feels, the way it sounds. Totally different, The 335 is a really hard instrument to make, man. It's incredibly difficult to make one of those, and that's why you don't see a lot of these guys building 335s. You see a lot of guys building Strats and Tellys, right? Because it's a lot, of course there is craftsmanship that goes into that, and I really respect that and appreciate it, but it's nowhere near as intricate as a 335. 335s are very hard to make. Let's see. Neck Through Nelly says here, it was probably discontinued to offset the refinish. If it played great and sounded great, felt great, then snag it up. It's going to continue to go up in value. You will have to trade it later. Oh, you're talking about the 57 Gold Top. Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's what it is. It's discounted because the top has been refinished. But yeah, it's an amazing guitar, man. I mean, I love that thing, but it just makes me a little bit nervous just with investing that kind of money. Like, if I'm going to throw that kind of money into an instrument, man, like, I want that thing to be 100%. So, I don't know, but it really is tempting, man. I mean, because again, like, a real 57 Gold Top with no modifications, no refin, no anything, it's just 100% straight. I mean, that's going to be $200,000, So, it's a hell of a lot more. So, let's see. Neck Through Nelly says, not a fan of all hollow bodies or just 330. I just don't really play hollow bodies, man, really. I just, for me, the 335, that's the shit, man, in my opinion. That is the shit, in my opinion. Let's see. Daydream says here, this stream is really nice. Cool. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I was struggling a little bit ago toward the beginning of this stream. I had a pretty rowdy night last night, so I was kind of still recovering from that, but I'm doing much better now. So let's see here. Scott says, any concern with traveling with vintage guitars? A lot of musicians leave them at home. Yeah, of course. I mean, it's always a concern. For me, whenever I travel with this stuff, I mean, I always have hands on it. I always have eyes on it. I never, leave it set up on stage or something after sound check. It's always coming back with me to the room, to the hotel room. I've heard a lot of horror stories, man, of a lot of guys getting their stuff stolen, or, some kind of stagehand or some independent contractor that's working the show walks off with something. And, I just, man, when it comes to like my 335, I always have hands on it. I always have eyes on it. And, I never let it leave my sight, man. I've always got an eye on it. So there's a lot of concern though, for sure, and then like, they make these cases called Colton cases. You've probably heard of them, but they're just like military. I mean, they're like so strong, man. They are so strong. It is unbelievable. So, I really need to get one of those for my 335. I don't have one yet, but I just love those cases, man. They're amazing. So I would really recommend getting one of those if you're going to. If you are going to travel with a vintage guitar, they're just like indestructible, basically. But yeah, definitely a lot of concern for sure, man, with traveling with the vintage instruments, man. I mean, you just never know. You just never know, man, what could happen. So, and I really don't blame a lot of people for, leaving their stuff at home. Even for myself, man, like I've got an R9 and a custom shop Telly that I bring out of the road a lot. It really depends with my 335 or the Strat. It depends on the music that I'm playing, as to what I decide to bring out. But really, I do mainly just bring out the R9 and the Telly. The 335 and the Strat and the other vintage instruments that I have are more for recording and this kind of thing. So writing and gigs as well, but just has to be the right gig. Let's see. JNJ says here, hey Justin, whatever happened to your Jazzmaster? You sounded great on it. Keep up the great work. Thanks so much, man. I really appreciate that. That's so kind. That's awesome. I loved that guitar, man. It was excellent, and I got a hell of a deal on that thing. It was a 66 Jazzmaster I got from Gruen, and I ended up trading that, though, man, to get the 335. So I had to let go of a lot of stuff, man, to get the 61 335. It was insane. I mean, it was really, really expensive, but, I was able to get it, man, and, I decided to let that go. I let go of a SG. It was a 63 Les Paul, but the SG body. Um, that was like a player grade guitar though. It had a headstock repair, and it had some changed knobs. Like it was pretty worn. The finish was pretty worn out. So definitely a player grade instrument, but really great guitar, man. I honestly miss that guitar. It was killer. But I just had to let go of so much stuff because the 335 was so expensive, and it's a dot neck. It's just a holy grail instrument. So that's what happened with the Jazzmaster, man. I got rid of it, but I would love to have another one. It's a really great guitar for sure, and that one in particular sounded awesome. But I just needed to get a 335, man. There's just nothing better, man. You could do anything. You could do everything with a 335, man. It's just so versatile. So I really feel like if you're going to really go in and splurge on a vintage guitar, the 335 is the one to do it on for sure. Let's see. Scott says here, that's why BB King was up to Lucille number 13. Oh, cool. I didn't realize that, actually. I didn't know that. I guess because so many of them got stolen then, I guess, huh? I never knew that. Interesting. Let's see. Pete is in the house. Hey, Pete. How's it going? Thanks so much for being here. Really appreciate it. What is your acoustic guitar string gauge? I use 12s. I'll use... I just started using these Diodario... man, I don't remember what the hell the strings are, but they're made by Diodario. They're just 12s, so... They're not like the coated ones, though, like the elixirs or whatever. I used to use those, but, they're just not very reliable, man, to be honest. I've had a lot of issues with those breaking on me on stage and stuff, and these Diodario strings, man, are just incredible, man. They're so reliable, and I have not had any issues with breaking them on stage at all, and they sound great. So I'm really, really digging those. And for the acoustic guitar thing, man, I'm just using the J45, right now for these gigs. It just works. I think for the price, it's fair. It's a good build. It's a good, solid acoustic. I love vintage acoustics, but they're just not really practical for what I'm doing because, I need to be able to have a pickup. And, when I'm playing on stage, like, I don't want to be miking up an acoustic, and a lot of vintage acoustics have a lot of issues, like the neck has been reset, the there's all kinds of cracks and all kinds of shit going on with it. So I normally just try to stay away from vintage acoustics. I know of one 64 Hummingbird that is an incredible example, and I've been trying to get that damn thing for so long, but I just have not been able to work out a deal. So hopefully one day, though, I'll end up with it, man. But that guitar, that's one exception. I will say, I was like, man, when I first seen it, I mean, it is like mint condition. Just beautiful. Change tuners, but that's it. I mean, it is incredible example of a Hummingbird, man. It is beautiful. Hands down the nicest one I've ever seen. But we'll see if I end up with that. Let's see. Sometimes I play guitars in the house. Hey, man, how's it going? Thanks so much for being here. Appreciate it. It says here, I was at GC recently and played a 335 through a Princeton, neither vintage. Best sounding combo I've ever played. It was amazing. Yeah. Man, that's an incredible combination, man. I mean, you can't go wrong, man, with Gibson guitars and a Fender amp. I mean, a 335 with a Princeton, a Deluxe. I mean, literally any Fender amp you play with a 335, man. Even some of the higher wattage ones, like a Vibrolux Reverb or a Pro Reverb. I mean, all of those amps kick ass with the 335, man. Like, you can't go wrong, man. It's just the best. Just the best. I mean, hell, even these Super Champs, I don't know if you ever mess with these, but these Super Champs, they're from the 80s, and Paul Revere designed them back in the day with Fender. And this thing, it just sounds incredible. A 335 with that, money, dude. It is just money. And I actually have both versions here. I have the one with the Fender speakers. That would be an original speaker. But that was the one model, and then they also have another model where that was going to be, it's like the upgraded version with the EV speaker. So I have both here now. I have the one with the Fender speaker and the other one with the EV speaker, which is really cool. So the one with the EV speaker sounds really good, man. I really like it. Just so much heavier. Those EV speakers, man, they weigh a ton, man. I remember I picked up once a Fender Super Reverb, which is, it's 410s, but it was loaded with 4 EV speakers in there. And oh my God, it was like the heaviest amp I've ever picked up. I mean, it was heavier than my damn 412 cabinet. And this 68 basket weave, man, that thing is just a beast, man. It's so heavy. It's crazy. But let's see. Here I was on this comment. J&J says here, I'd also like to mention my newer 335 is the best sounding guitar to record with as well. Absolutely seamless and effortless plug and play. What a sound. Yeah, man, definitely. I mean, the 335 is just, it's so versatile, man, and they just sound amazing. There's just nothing better, man. There's nothing better. I mean, they call 335s burst killers for a reason, you know what I mean? Like, they just sound incredible, you know, and that's the thing. Like, if you're looking to get into the vintage guitar world and you have the financial means to, be able to get like a pre-65 335, I would really recommend it, man, because they're expensive for sure, but they're not like Les Paul expensive where they're like 200 grand or 300 grand or something like this if they're all straight. Like, I mean, my 61 was really expensive, don't get me wrong, but it's not like a 57 gold top or a burst or something that's, those are going to be 2, 3, 4, 500 grand, I mean, it's insane. So, and the thing is like with these vintage 335s, they have PAF pickups. I mean, and they just sound amazing again. Like, they're so versatile. They can do everything. And it's a lot of the same spec as a Les Paul, like still the same PAF pickups, same pots. I mean, a lot of the same stuff, but just a bigger body, in the 335, it just, man, it sounds so good. I can't say enough good things about it, but yeah, I would really recommend that for sure. It's just kind of funny. I don't know why the prices are like that. I don't really know why they're so much cheaper than Les Pauls. I guess maybe it's just, hype or I don't know. It's just weird. So, but anyways, let's see. J&J says here, just curious if you've played a 61 335 equivalents of your guitar, and if so, how did it compare? Oh, a custom shop. Okay, is what you're saying here. Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure what you're saying. Yeah, man, I mean, the reissues, to be honest, like, and this is just my humble opinion, it's really to each their own and whatever that you like, but just for me, I really notice a major difference with the 335. The 335 is just the pre-65 one, the way the neck feels, the way that the pickups are, like, just the craftsmanship of it, man, like, it is so different in comparison to the reissues, man. Like, I honestly feel it's like a different guitar, honestly, and I'm not just saying this because I have one, I just honestly really feel that way. Like, when I was shopping around for a 335, I was playing a lot of the reissue custom shop stuff, and I was checking out a bunch of them, and it really felt like plastic in comparison to the 61 335, man. Like, it's just such a hard guitar to make, man. It really is difficult, and I just feel, man, the pre-65 335s, they're just the best, man, for sure. Let's see. Scott says here, a lot more 335s made. Everyone wanted to be Chuck Berry. Okay, so that's what it is then. Yeah, I kind of figured it was just like a limited amount, but that's the thing. It's like with all of this stuff, I mean, there was only so many that were made, even with 335s, and the whole thing and what makes this stuff so collectible is it's like how many of them have survived all of these years without some kind of a break or some kind of modification or something change, whatever. Like, that's the thing with this 61335 that I have here is like, man, I think it is one of the nicest examples I've ever seen, man. It's factory stop tail. There's no Bigsby holes. There's no modifications, no extra ground wire. Like, it's just so clean, man. And it's like, how many of them are really actually out there that are in that kind of condition? Let's see. Was your 335 made in Michigan or Memphis? Well, man, this is going to be Kalamazoo. It's a 61. It's a real 1961. So, but yeah, really cool stuff. So, I mean, I just love vintage guitars. I'm so passionate about it, and it's just all about what inspires you. Once again, like, that's what I just love so much about these vintage guitars. It's like, they're just so inspiring to play, and a lot of like really amateur guitar players or amateur musicians just don't understand that. You know what I mean? Like, you could make YouTube videos, trying to be, controversial or whatever, like, and trying to get all this attention of like, oh, look at how this $300 guitar sounds the same as my, $20,000 guitar or whatever, but like, they just don't understand like that factor. They don't understand the inspiration that goes into actually creating something from nothing, and like, they'll never be able to actually do that. It all comes down to the player, and like, there's so much bad guitar playing, honestly, here on YouTube. I honestly have to say, man, it's just awful. And it's like, I just can't even believe that some of these guys are actually serious with some of these opinions, man. I mean, it's just mind-blowing, So it's just crazy to me. But that's the thing with these instruments, man, is it's all about the inspiration. And that's something that you can't really put into a YouTube video. You could mic up everything and, oh, look at how, similar this sounds or whatever. But, like, they'll never understand, again, that inspiration and actually being able to create something. And when the instrument is that inspiring to play, it brings out the best in your playing. It brings out the best in your songwriting and creating in general, your music. So they just don't understand that. But anyways, let's see. Next through Nelly says here, you were not impressed with the Murphy Lab 335s either. No. Man, to be honest, I'm just not, man. I mean, it is such a hard guitar to make. It's so difficult to make a 335, man. It's so hard, man. Now, I've got to say, with the Les Pauls, of course, the vintage ones, man, the way that they play, it is different for sure, the way it feels and stuff. But I have to say that the actual neck profile and the way that it feels on the hand, it's very similar to the real deal, man. The way that neck is made, the profile of it, it's very comfortable, man, and it really does feel like the real one. I've played a bunch of real Les Pauls and a lot of bursts and gold tops and stuff, and I've honestly got to say, man, that they have that neck profile together, man. It really, really feels good for sure. So I've got to say that. And honestly, the thing is that's cool with like an R9, and that's why I have one, is because it's a tool. It's great. Like, I can take it out on the road, and I don't have to worry about it, man. It's a tool. I can throw it around on stage, and those custom buckers sound good. I really like the way that those pickups sound. I think they're phenomenal. And it just works really well. It's a nice weight, very light, and man, I just love it, man. It's great. So the Les Pauls are cool for sure. There's definitely some good ones. Let's see. I have a Murphy J45, and it's phenomenal. Sounds and feels old and great. Yeah, man. That was another thing that I wanted to point out too with the Murphy Lab stuff. I've got to say that the acoustics, if you guys get a chance to check out the Murphy Lab relic acoustics and like the finish and stuff, it really does make a difference, man. The Murphy Lab, it really sounds good, man. And they use a very thin finish on the acoustics, and it really affects the tone of the actual acoustic. Just compare a Murphy Lab one and just a standard like J45 or a Hummingbird or whatever. Compare the two of those, and you'll really hear a significant difference, man, in the way that it feels. I gotta say, man, those are cool, but it's just not very practical, you know. And again, like if you're gonna be spending that kind of money, why not just get a real deal, real vintage acoustic? You know, there's no pickups in the Murphy Lab one, so that's why I just went with just a J45 standard, man. I mean, for what I'm doing, I need to have a pickup in the acoustic, and I just need something that's just gonna work, you know. And a J45, man, it just works. So, let's see here. Sometimes I play guitar. Says here, have you seen the 1958 Gibson Les Paul custom prototype that Carter has? Yes, I've seen that. It's a real piece of Gibson history for sure. Yeah, man. Yeah, it really is. It really is. I mean, it's pretty unbelievable. It's just amazing with that place, man. I mean, they get so much stuff, man. It's amazing. I mean, and people just go to them and just bring them this stuff, you know? I mean, it's just amazing the amount of stuff that they have there. And it's just like every day there, they've got some kind of crazy, you know, 58 Les Paul prototype or something. Or like, I was just there the other day, man, and I walk in and the guy was like, man, we've got this 56 Strat that's just awesome, man. You got to check it out. And, you know, it's 100% original. It's just like, god damn, man. It's just amazing, man. That place is just dangerous, man. It's just dangerous as all hell. Every time I go in there, man, I feel like I'm spending money, or, you know, the bug bites. And then, you know, it's like, oh, man, I could do this trade, or, oh, I could get this Strat, or I could get that, you know. The wheels just start turning, man. It's a sickness, man. I love this stuff, you know. And it's just fun. I love that place, man. It's my favorite shop in town, man, for sure. I mean, between them and Gruhn's, you know, I like Gruhn's too, but, you know, we're really lucky here in Nashville, man. We have some amazing, amazing stores here. So it's really cool. But anyways, folks, you know, if you guys have any questions for me, feel free to leave it there in the chat box. And if you guys feel like you got something out of this live stream here today, feel free to throw a little love in the Venmo or the PayPal tip jar, or even a super chat here in today's live stream. You know, any and all support is really appreciated. I really donate my time with these live streams. I don't make anything on these whatsoever. So any and all support is really appreciated. Again, if you want to throw a little love in the Venmo or the PayPal tip jar, or even a super chat here in today's live stream, you know, any and all support is really appreciated. And also, I want to take the time to mention my one-on-one online consultations. You know, folks, I'm teaching people from all over the world, and you're actually seeing and hearing the exact setup that I use for these one-on-one online consultations. Everything is shot on a 4K definition camera. It's all pro video and pro audio. And what's so cool with these lessons is that you'll actually get a recorded copy of the lesson of itself at the very end there, so you could very easily just download the video and rewatch the video as many times as you want, so you could really dive in and really go back to the lesson and be like, oh man, what did he say at this point, or what was his point on this, or, you know, you can really just go through and retain all of the information that I give out within these lessons. So for more info on this, hit me up at jkm4231@gmail.com. It's also linked down below in the description box. Thanks for listening. And next through Nelly here says, it does. I have a J45 standard as well, and the Murphy is miles above. They are expensive. Like you said, I didn't want the worry of vintage with acoustic. Yeah, totally. Murphy acoustic is like vintage with a warranty. Yeah, that's exactly right, man. You're right. Yeah, I totally understand that, you know, and it's different. Like, you know, if you're just at home, man, just jamming and just playing some acoustic, and you just want to pick up that Murphy and, you know, just play some acoustic, man, I mean, I think that's awesome. You know, I think it's great. It's just like, for me, I need to have a pickup, and, you know, but I totally agree with what you're saying with the vintage acoustics. You know, there's always something up with them. It's like, man, the neck has been reset 3 times. You know, there's cracks. There's all kinds of stuff going on, man. And, you know, that's what's nice with that Murphy Lab. You know, it's all new wood. And it's, you know, like you say, you have a warranty with it. So, It's cool. But yeah, man, so that's awesome. So definitely go and check those out if you guys haven't. Go and check out the Murphy Lab acoustics. They're definitely pricey for sure, but they are definitely really good for sure. I was really blown away, and it really makes a difference, and that's something that drives me nuts with the reissue Gibson acoustics is they finish them like the finish is so heavy, and it just really affects the overall tone of the actual acoustic. When you have that very light finish like that they do on those Murphy Labs, man, it really makes a massive difference in the tone. And even like in the neck, man, when you hit a note, you can feel the neck vibrating on your hand, and it's like, man, the Murphy Lab stuff is cool, man, especially with the acoustics. I really like that. And the R9 Les Pauls are really cool. It works. Just a good tool. I think the custom buckers sound really good. They're real chirpy. They're just real, kind of like a fatter telly. That's what I always say with a Les Paul. It really should just be like a fatter telly. And it just sounds great. I love that stuff, man. I've got one myself. I've got an R9. And, man, I bring it out on the road. I take it out. I gig with it all the time. So it's a great, great guitar. Nice and light, too. Not too heavy, which is cool. But, man, I've already been going here for about an hour and 20 minutes now already. It's hard to believe, man. Thank you guys so much, seriously, for joining me here in today's live stream. I really do appreciate it. If you guys have any questions for me, feel free to leave it there in the chat box. I'd be happy to answer. And I just want to say again, thank you guys so much for watching all the videos and, supporting me and supporting my channel and my business. Please be sure to check out all the links that I have down below in the description box. If you guys are interested in one-on-one online lessons, man, hit me up today at jkm4231@gmail.com. They are really amazing lessons, and I've really taken the time and really put in a lot of effort in making sure that these lessons are really, really good and really solid. And I'm telling you, man, it always is just as soon as the person takes the first lesson, they are completely hooked. They're completely hooked. They normally will do 2 lessons a month, or I also have students that do one lesson a week, so 4 a month. So, as soon as they take the first lesson, they're immediately hooked because they see how it all goes, and it's just amazing. I'm telling you, it really is great. So send me an email at jkm4231@gmail.com for some more information on this. Let's see. Doobie Kill is in the house. Hey, man, how's it going? Nice to see you here. Says here, zoom out and talk about the trends you see coming regards live shows in 2025. Regarding live shows in 2025. I hear a lot of semi-major artists are ditching drum and bass for backing tracks. Yeah, I mean, drums, like acoustic kits, I've seen that. I've seen, some artists, they don't actually have a real acoustic drum kit up there. They're playing on an electric kit. But drums will never go away for a live show. Are you kidding me? That would be just silly. I mean, you got to have real drums. Now, with bass, though, I definitely have seen that a lot where a lot of artists are not bringing out bass players because they can just put them on tracks, and sometimes like smaller artists that are maybe a direct support band where they're opening for a headliner, or maybe they're just doing like a club tour or something like this, they may not have the budget to, bring out additional players and they just don't have the money, right? So it's like, well, if they don't have to bring out a bass player and they could just put them on tracks, I mean, nobody will really notice, and I tell you, man, it's the craziest thing. Like, I'll never forget, man, I went to a show, and I'm not going to name the band, but, this band has an amazing song that has an amazing acoustic guitar solo in one of their songs. And I remember I was at this show, and I just remember the guitar player was up there, and when the solo section came up, he was just playing the chords. He didn't play the solo, and the track just took over, and the track just played the solo. And, as a guitar player, when I was there in the crowd, I was just really disappointed, because I was like, man, this is like what live music is supposed to be, But there's bands doing that stuff too. I mean, tracks are a huge thing now, and I think that tracks, it can benefit a band. Sometimes there's some limitations with a 4 or 5 piece band, and there's also a lot of things that it does besides just the tracks, man. It also triggers the video wall, it triggers lights, it does all kinds of different stuff. So that's why a lot of these bands roll with that stuff. They use Ableton for that, and it can just control a lot of stuff. So, but yeah, as far as dishing drums, I've never heard that ever. I mean, real acoustic kits, I have seen that where some bands use an electronic drum kit, but still having a drummer for sure. I mean, you got to on a gig. Let's see. Sean's in the house. Hey, Sean, how's it going? It says here, never been inside Carter's. I was afraid to visit. Well, yeah, I'm sure you can do some damage in there. Yeah, that is a definite, man. That is a definite. It is really, really bad, man. Really bad. I mean, I love that place so much, man. It is amazing. But, man, oh, man. It's just like every time I walk in there, I find something new that I'm like, man, I should really buy that, Or, the wheels start turning of how could I make that work? Maybe I could do a trade or I could sell something. But it is amazing the amount of stuff they have there. Thumbs up and a guitar emoji. And Doopy Killa says here, do we really need to have live drums, though? Jason, or you probably mean Justin, just think about all the microphones and strips on the mixing board, and there's a sound guy whose job is mostly to mix the drums. Man, I'm so confused. I mean, you got to have live drums, man. Like, if you're, a live band, like, playing a real acoustic kit adds so much energy, man, instead of it just being electronic. It's the same thing like with playing guitar, right? It's like when you're actually moving air rather than playing like a Kemper or a Axe-Fx thing or whatever. Like, there's so much more energy, man, off the stage, when there's a live drummer actually hitting the drums. You have to be careful with your drummer, like, they have to really play balanced. This is something that I've ranted about in the past, but I cannot stand when drummers hit so hard that they just dominate a mix. I mean, and it's like, you really have to play very balanced as a drummer, Your cymbal hits, it needs to be balanced. Your snare hits, everything has to be very, very balanced. There's some guys that just hit so hard, and, when you have 3 vocal microphones, or, I mean, even more microphones than that, right? You have microphones on the guitar amp, maybe the bass cabinet, you have vocal mics up there, I mean, at the front of the stage, like, those drums are getting into all of those microphones, man. So, you really have to be careful. And I think even just having like those cymbal shields, that really helps a lot. Just the shield just on the cymbal, not saying the entire kit, because a lot of drummers absolutely hate those things, the sound barrier thing that wraps around the entire kit, because, being behind that kit, man, it's so loud, man, when you're inside that thing, man. It's just crazy. But I think at least just having some kind of cymbal shields will really help a mix for sure. And I do think that every band should have that, honestly, in my opinion. Because the cymbals are just the worst, man. It just gets into everything. That and the snare drum. But let's see here. Scott says here, can travel in a van if you keep the band small. Yeah. Yep. Let's see. Acoustic drums versus Roland TD-17. Man, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the Roland is. I'm just assuming that's just an electronic kit. I mean, definitely acoustic drums, man. It sounds way better than electronic kit. MarshTube is in the house. Hey, man, how's it going? Thanks so much for being here. Says, what's up, everyone? What's going on, man? Thanks so much for being here. And talking about is the division of labor in a band. I'm confused with that, but okay. Daydream says, gotta go. Man, thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And once again, folks, if you guys feel like you got something out of today's live stream and you guys would like to support the channel, feel free to throw a little love in the Venmo tip jar or the PayPal tip jar, or even throw a super chat here in today's live stream. Any and all support is really appreciated as always. And I do want to take the time to mention once again my one-on-one online lessons. These lessons are absolutely amazing, and we go for an hour long per lesson. And everything is shot on a 4K definition camera. It's all pro video and pro audio. And what's so cool with these lessons is that you'll actually get a recorded copy of the lesson itself at the very end. So you can very just simply download the video and literally rewatch the lesson over and over and over again, and really be able to actually retain all of the information that I teach and I give out within these lessons. So for more info on this, hit me up at jkm4231@gmail.com. That's going to be linked down below as well in the description box there. Let's see. Doopy Killa says here, acoustic drums require a bunch of mics, a long sound check, a sound guy, and take up to 8 to 10 strips on the mixer. Acoustic drums are Neolithic tech. I would rather have a TD-17 anytime, always in tune. Yeah, I mean, to each their own, man. To each their own. That's great. It's one of those things. It really shouldn't be that long of a sound check if you have a competent sound guy, or monitor guy. I mean, it really should not take that long. So, I just think there's so much more energy, man, when there's a real kit on stage. But that's just my opinion. But, anyways, I think that's all for today, folks. I've been talking here for a while, and I really appreciate everybody being here once again, and thank you so much for all the support. Stay tuned. I've got a bunch more videos coming up here soon, and come on and join me again next Sunday. I will be live here 11:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. I'll be live again here on YouTube. I'm doing this every week, so come on back and get your questions ready. I always really look forward to doing these, and I love seeing a lot of familiar names here today. And once again, I just want to say thank you, everybody, for watching this stuff. It really means the world to me. And again, stay tuned. I got a bunch more videos coming up. And if you are interested in one-on-one lessons, hit me up, jkm4231@gmail.com. It's also linked down below in the description box. But that is all for today, folks. We'll see y'all next time. Take care.